Alrighty, hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Cryptic Coil, and this is going to be part 3 of that, like, epic book haul. I just knew that, like, that book haul was going to be way too long of a video, so I decided to, I made a spur-of-the-moment decision to separate the middle grade portion, the YA portion, and the adult portion, so that's kind of what happened. Alright, so let's jump into the adult portion. Uh, and I just decided to wait to do it till today. So this was an exciting find. I found another TOR horror book, and I really enjoy finding these. This is one from Brian Lumley. I know that he's probably most famous for like the horror scope or necroscope. Yeah, necroscope trilogy. But this is a great looking cover, and the title of this book is The House of the Doors, or The House of Doors. And that's just a great looking cover. It's got the Tor Horror logo on the spine. These are just really fun books to find out in the wild. I have a pretty cool collection of these. Haven't read a single one of them, not gonna lie. But, I have them, and that's cool. So let's see, is there a tagline on the front? Yes, there is. All right, here's the tagline. And I was right, it is in the Necroscope trilogy. All right, so here's the tagline. Your darkest nightmare awaits within. And here's the synopsis on the back. A man's fears control his fate. The House of Doors waits, silent, its dozen doors a mystery. Open one and step through into terror. Trapped inside the House of Doors, a group of scientists and spies soon determine that the menaces they battle are formed from their own subconscious fears, those terrible horrors which are impossible to control or eradicate. Hellfire, eternal damnation, death, and worse assail the house's victims. One door conceals the way to safety, but all may die before they find it. All right. So, let me see, what year was this published? 1990, first edition, March 1990. Okay. Very cool. Very cool find. All right. Here's one. I just found it, like, at a random thrift store, and the title is Vampire Next Door by Angela Snyder. I don't believe I've heard of this author before, but it said vampire, so I mean, you had me at vampire. Looks like this book was copyrighted in 2013. I'm guessing this must be an independent book because there isn't a whole lot on that copyright page. No tagline on the front. That's what the cover looks like, though. Let's go ahead and read the synopsis on the back. After being left for dead in the woods, a woman wakes up from a coma. With no memory of her past, she is given the name Jane Doe. While trying to adjust to her new life, tragedy strikes again. However, this time, a mysterious and handsome next-door neighbor is there to help her pick up the pieces. But is he really a stranger, or does he hold the key to unlocking her past and finding out who wants her dead? And that sounds interesting. It sounds more thrilling and suspenseful than horror. There was a made-for-Netflix movie that I saw a couple years ago, and I think I watched it 2 or 3 times, where a girl wakes up from a coma in the hospital, and her husband takes her home, and he has this beautiful mansion, and he's this really, like, handsome and successful guy, but she just cannot recover memory of their life together before the accident and her coma, like she's this amnesia victim. That's kind of what this reminds me of. So if you insert vampires into a plot line like that, it kind of makes me wonder where it's going to go. So maybe this might be a Vamptember read for me. We'll see. All right. So, okay, here's an exciting one. There's a bookstore here in town called Page One Books, and it's kind of Albuquerque, New Mexico's. I don't know if it's really comparable to a half-priced books now because they try to sell things for what they're worth if they can. I don't know, but I was very lucky that I got to find my second ever Abyss Del horror book. All right, and this one is called Shadow Twin, and it's a Del Abyss horror book. Right, the author's name is Dale Hoover, and let me show you the cover. Okay, I love it. Everything is embossed, like the picture on the cover, the author's name, the title, everything is embossed, and this is just a really cool '90s looking cover. All right, there is a tagline on the front, and it reads, "Once he had control, now he is evolving into something he can't recognize or understand. The madness begins." And let's go ahead and see that copyright page. December 1991, and it looks like this is a first printing. Very cool. All right, so here's the synopsis on the back. I am what you made me to be. Once Jack's life was under control, but that was before the man across the street came knocking on the door, before he saw his son's small body shaking like a rag doll in his own powerful hands. Now Jack's life careens toward chaos, bursting out of him like the ugly ridges on his face. People look at Jack with horror. They know the truth. They can see. But how can he learn the truth when he can't bear to look in the mirror? Life brings change. Life brings evolution. Something happened to the face. The life is being torn out of Jack, sucked into a dark, silent hole for which there is no explanation, no end, but the unspeakable end projected into a stranger at the door. I am what you made me to be. Jack has everything to lose. The madness has begun. Life is evolving into Shadow Twin. That sounds kind of interesting. Gosh, this is such a big book. 389 pages. It does sound good, but this thing is like in mint condition, so kind of don't want to mess that up. All right, and then I found one by Kim Newman, who is famous for Anno Dracula. I'm a big fan of this one YouTuber named Maven of the Eventide. She's about the same age as me, and her channel is all about vampires. Uh, and I think she even had Kim Newman on, like, to do an interview. And I think I learned that Kim Newman is a guy. So, some people, like, some dudes are named Kim. Like, I used to know a guy named Ashley. So that kind of threw me off. I mean, I'm not judging or anything like that. It was just kind of a whoa, whoa, whoa. I didn't, anticipate that. But this one is called A Christmas Ghost Story. And the blurb on front reads, "A chilling tale for dark days and long nights." And this is really clever. If you look at the front cover and the back cover, it looks like either an envelope folded or like a package, because it's Christmas themed. That's interesting. All right, so let's read the synopsis on the back. December 1st, Angie and her teenage son Rust prepare for Christmas, stringing fairy lights around their isolated home on the Somerset levels. Rust receives his first Christmas card. It's unsigned, and the message is pinch punch, first of the month. The cards keep coming, one each day, and each more sinister than the last. A frightened Angie recalls a seasonal TV show from her childhood featuring similar happenings. But while she remembers it vividly, there is no evidence it was ever broadcast. Christmas cheer is gradually poisoned with cruels instead of carols. The turkey rotting in the fridge, unwelcome visits from the merciless gentleman and the jingle bastards. As Rust becomes increasingly unwell, Angie begins to wonder if her childhood Christmases were in fact as joy filled as she remembers. She has a blurb on the back from, or he, I'm sorry, I'm terribly sorry. There is a blurb on the back from Grady Hendrix. Grady Hendrix says, "The perfect book." And Stephen Jones. And Stephen Jones says, "An author who continues to push the limits of every genre he works in." My apologies for that. And this book is from 2024. So it's only been around for like 2 Christmases, 2024 and 2025. So this is something that I might want to, remember to reach for. It's not that big of a book either. So when Christmas time comes up, this might be something I might want to reach for. All right. Then I found this one at a local thrift store, and it is a BMI publishing. I don't know if you can see that. And it's called Dead to the World by J.N. Williamson. And look at that cover. It's like a skeleton in a, I don't know, 80s or 90s tracksuit, sweats. And apparently J.N. Williamson, who I've never heard of, is the best-selling author of Noon Spell, as in afternoon spell. And the tagline on the front reads, "Alive with Evil." And there's a blurb on the front from Graham Masterton, "An experience of unmitigated terror." Look at this cover one more time. All right, let's see. This could be 80s or 90s. I'm willing to bet 90s. Let's see though. All right. 1988. I was wrong. Okay. So here's the synopsis on the back. If you look closely, they are all around. The hooded jogger who rattles past you without seeming to touch the ground. The young housewife whose soulless eyes burn right through you. The businessman whose pearly smile hides a breath reeking of the grave. Outwardly, they seem normal, perhaps too normal, but each and every one is infected with evil and dead to the world. So that doesn't give away much, and in a way that's super cool. It looks great. It looks great. I'll say that. All right. So now I have some hardbacks. I'm sorry. I should have probably done this before I started filming, but all right. So I picked up a James Patterson book, and I think that James Patterson is my most read author ever. And I'm actually a big James Patterson fan. I know that a lot of people don't like him because he doesn't write all of his own books. But the beauty of a James Patterson book is that it's going to be fast-paced. He doesn't really do slow burns, and his chapters are very short. His chapters are like only 2, 3, or 4 pages long. I don't know if I've ever seen a 5-page James Patterson chapter. And the cool thing about that is that you can always find a stopping point. And so this one was co-written with Nancy Allen. I don't know who that is, but the title of this book is The Number One Lawyer. And the tagline on the front reads, "He's America's best lawyer until he's its number one murder suspect." And let's go ahead and read the synopsis on the inner dust jacket. All right, Stafford Lee Panay is a small town trial lawyer with a big time reputation for winning every case he tries until Panay himself is accused of murder. In court, Panay knows to never underestimate his opponent or the jury, to never keep the judge waiting, to always dress for success in a pressed suit and polished shoes. But none of that matters when he becomes the main suspect in a murder case. That's when Panay tosses his winning playbook. It's said that a lawyer who represents himself has a fool for a client, but the number one lawyer must find a way to triumph. And on the back, or on the other side of the dust jacket, there's a photo with, some stuff about James Patterson, but there's also something about this Nancy Allen. Let's find out about Nancy Allen. So she practiced law for 15 years in her native Ozarks and served as a law instructor at Missouri State University for 16 years. She is also the author of the Ozarks Mystery Series. Never heard of it. But, and, some of James Patterson's books can be, hit or miss, but for me, there have been a lot more hits than misses. So I enjoy James Patterson. All right, I have another James Patterson for you. And, oh, wait, hang on. Because it's been a few years since I've read James Patterson. And by a few, I mean like 6 or 7 years. Okay, so this is from 2024. And it does look good. All right. I never really watched that TV show before, Grey's Anatomy, but I heard that there was this one season where there was a doctor who was like the best doctor ever, and then he got sick or got hurt or something, and he needed to have life-saving surgery, and he was conscious during the surgery, and he could hear the doctors and the surgeons operating on him. And he couldn't respond because he was paralyzed, and everything that the doctors and the surgeons said was like the wrong thing to do. And he's like, no, don't do that, like do this instead. But they just kept saying to do the wrong thing, and then he died on the operating table because he was the only doctor who was good enough to save him. That's kind of what this number one lawyer book reminds me of, like this, someone who represents themselves in court has a fool for a client. It reminds me of that like Grey's Anatomy storyline. All right. Never seen it. It was just told to me. But anyway, I have another James Patterson book, and it's called The Girl in the Castle. And here's what the cover looks like, and the tagline on the front reads, "My name is Hannah Dory, and I need you to believe me." All right, here's what the back of the dust jacket looks like. And before I read the synopsis, let's look at the copyright page on this one. Printing 1, 2022. Okay. Oh, there's even a quote from Emily Dickinson. But let's read the synopsis on the back. On the inner dust jacket. "I exist in two realities, and both are terrifying. Now, Hannah Doe is brought to Bellman Psych, kicking and screaming, told she is suffering from hallucinations and delusions. She is isolated, sedated, and silenced. The doctors and nurses don't believe what Hannah knows to be true. 1347. Hannah Dory and her village are starving to death in a brutal winter. Hannah seeks out food and salvation in the Baron's castle. If she is caught stealing, she will surely hang. Now, Hannah knows the truth. She is Hannah Doe and Hannah Dory, and she must return to the past before it's too late to save her sister from a fate worse than starvation. Can Jordan, the abnormal psych student who seems to truly care, be the one to finally help her? Jordan isn't sure what to believe, and Hannah has even bigger problems. If she stays in the present, her sister will die, but if she keeps going back to the past, she might never escape. All right, that sounds awesome. I bet you anything this is going to be my next James Patterson read. I'm not gonna lie, I have been craving some James Patterson for a while, but life has gotten crazy. Reading has taken a back seat, and next time I read a James Patterson, this is gonna be it. So here's a cool one, and I don't know if I'm gonna read the synopsis on this one, but I found a Mary Higgins Clark, and I've never read Mary Higgins Clark before. I think I only have one of her novels. Here's a photo of her on the back. But here's something that's super, super cool. Can you read that? It says, "To Dad from Joy and Mary Higgins Clark, 060602. In 2002, I had a girlfriend, and her birthday was June 6th. Sophomore year in high school." Interesting. Very interesting. The title of this book is Daddy's Little Girl. I'll read the synopsis. I only got two more books. All right. Ellie Kavanaugh was only 7 years old when her 15-year-old sister, Andrea, was murdered near their home in Oldham on the Hudson, a rural village in New York's Westchester County. There were three suspects: Rob Westerfield, 19-year-old scion of a wealthy, prominent family whom Andrea has been secretly dating; Paul Strobel, a 16-year-old schoolmate who had a crush on Andrea; and Will Nebels, a local handyman in his 40s. It was Ellie who had led her parents to a hideout in which Andrea's body was found, a secret hideaway in which she met her friends. And it was Ellie who was blamed by her parents for her sister's death for not telling them about this place the night Andrea was missing. It was also Ellie's testimony that led to the conviction of the man she was firmly convinced was the killer. Steadfastly denying his guilt, he spent the next 22 years in prison. When he comes up for parole, Ellie, now an investigative reporter for an Atlanta newspaper, protests his release. Nonetheless, the convicted killer is set free and returns to Oldham. Determined to thwart his attempts to whitewash his reputation, Ellie also returns to Oldham, intent on creating a website and writing a book that will conclusively prove his guilt. As she delves deeper into her research, however, she uncovers horrifying and heretofore unknown facts that shed new light on her sister's murder. With each discovery, she comes closer to a confrontation with a desperate killer. That actually does sound really good. So if I do read a Mary Higgins Clark book, this seems like an interesting place to start. All right. So I got two more for you. I think this is a relatively newer one. It's Stephen King, Never Flinch. This is one that I don't already have in my collection. I don't think I'm going to read the synopsis on the back because my battery's dying. But this is a 2025 release, so it just came out last year. Very cool. So I now have that in my hardback Stephen King collection. And lastly, perhaps the coolest find of all, because I've been on the lookout for this one for a long time, because I've never had it in my collection before. My father didn't have it on the bookshelf in the living room throughout my childhood, so I didn't inherit it. But I found this at a thrift store not too long ago, and it is Stephen King's Firestarter. Now, this is not a first printing. This is actually a book club edition, and I don't know if you can read that, but right there on the bottom, it says book club edition. That's super cool. The spine is really healthy and holding onto the pages just fine. The dust jacket's in super decent condition. This is awesome. I'm really glad I got to find this. Well, it took me 3 videos to film this book haul. I'm very happy with the middle grade finds. I'm very happy with the adult finds, but I am especially happy with the young adult finds. So yeah, this was one of my favorite book hauls ever. And you know, there's a few that are also up there, but this one was super, super cool. But in 2026, my focus will actually be on reading and reviewing more so than hauling. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed these last couple of videos, from the middle grade, young adult, and adult book haul to the Sinclair Smith Dream Date review video. Thank you guys for watching. Horns up. Peace out.